Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Laurie, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life. I'm your host, Laurie Plow. So happy that you are here. Today, we are going to be talking about 5 tips to simplify mealtime. So I don't know about you, but the fall for me, I actually start to enjoy mealtime or meal prep again. I know I've done episodes about this before, but Sundays for me are like my meal prep days. Football's on, and I like to just kind of go to church and chill out and then come home and cook a bunch of food and have stuff prepped for the week. So that way I don't have to feel like I have to cook every single night. But I know that meal time and meal prep in general can be like a source of stress and anxiety for a lot of people, especially if you've got a bunch of kids at home, picky eaters, you're working, running around from activity to activity, and you just don't have the time to like dedicate to spending time in the kitchen. Even if you enjoy cooking, it can be really stressful. And so when it comes to organization, when I talk to a lot of people about what are some areas that really cause you stress, meal prep and dinner time specifically is a big, like, common denominator for a lot of people. And so that kind of trickles down into then we start spending money and we start eating out, and the kids are eating garbage, and then we're buying food and we're wasting food. And it's just like this whole big like rabbit hole. And so today I want to go through 5 different things that you can do to kind of get creative and maybe take some of the guesswork out of this meal planning, meal prep, and make it a little bit more streamlined and less burdensome for people. So here we go. I'm just going to run through them. Well, the first one I already said, and that is to pick a day to do your meal prep. For me, it's Sundays. For you, it might be Saturdays. It might be a Tuesday. I mean, I have a lot of people, like I talk to like my hairdresser, and her weekends are Mondays and Tuesdays. So sometimes I'll say something about doing it on the weekends, but whatever your weekend is, like whenever you have free time is really what I meant. So I pick a day that you have a little pocket of time. And if we don't have any days that have pockets of time, I think that's a bigger issue that we need to address. So let's just assume that you have a day that you can maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit. Pick that day and look ahead at your coming week. Look at the activities that you have. Do you have like a back to school night? Do your kids have practice? Do you have a late meeting? What are the days that you are going to be at home that you're going to need to cook? Are people going to be on the fly? I know in our house, we often ate in shifts. As much as I love the idea of all of us sitting down and eating a big family meal, the reality in our house is that that rarely ever happens. And I'm sad about that a little bit because I kind of had a different picture in my mind of what that would look like. But I know that the practicality of the way that our lives were between Josh's travel schedule and then the kids having different activities at different times is that, once they were kind of immersed in their own things, we often were coming and going. And so I like to look at my head before I'm doing the meal planning, is kind of first look ahead at my schedule and say, what do we have going on this week? And sometimes it's going to be the same week to week. And other times you're going to have like different things on different weeks. So I would rinse and repeat the parts that you can, but you may have to just say, hey, this week we have something different coming up. And then from there, you can decide how many nights am I really cooking? Are we going to be eating out any at all? Are we going to be doing like breakfast food for dinner one night? And then you can decide from there, what do I need to actually prepare? What are the things that I like? How many nights am I actually cooking? Because what I hear from a lot of people is the frustration of is I cooked all this food, I spent all the money and the time to do it, and then my kid came home and like ate a bowl of cereal for dinner. And so there's nothing wrong with eating a bowl of cereal for dinner, but we don't want to waste any additional time and money to go buy the food and then make the food and have nobody eat the food because that's just frustrating. So look at do a week at a glance. And again, you can do that from whatever day makes sense for you. For me, I like to do it on Sundays. You can pick whatever day. Okay. Second tip is keep a stocked freezer. I am not a freezer, and my friend Carolyn Fossil is like probably like cover your ears. She did a great episode, which we'll link to. She has a book out called Eat Prep Freeze, Eat Freeze Prep. I'm sorry, I'm like totally screwing it up. But she has built an entire business about being really strategic with her freezer meals. I've tried it, people. It doesn't work for me. And it's not Carolyn's fault. It just doesn't work for me. But for those of you who do like to freezer prep your food, that is a great option. And I'm going to, again, link to that episode below in the show notes because it was actually, I may actually have it here. I'm going to double check and see if I have that here for you. I'm looking at my, yes, I do. Episode 271, people, episode 271 with Carolyn Fossil. She did a great episode all about like freezer meals. And for me, the way I use my freezer meals is we have a local, like kind of gourmet grocery store. And they have a lot of prepared foods in their freezer section. And I know that when my kids were younger, sometimes if we were in a busy season, I would stock up on like their baked ziti or chicken parmesan or whatever it was that they had. And that way, if I knew that I wasn't going to be able to cook a home cooked meal, they were going to be able to get this like at least nutritious food without getting something that's like filled with a ton of preservatives or like just a frozen dinner. If that's what you want to choose to do, go for it. But I think stocking your freezer with like healthy options is definitely a way to go. And again, another thing you can do, and Caroline talks about this in the episode, is double batch your food and just freeze half of it. So if you are somebody that is like, hey, I'm going to make a big thing of baked ziti. We're going to eat some tonight. I'm going to put a second half in a freezer, like safe freezer pack. And then next week or in 2 weeks, if we want baked ziti, I can just defrost it. So again, stocked freezer is great because then people can just heat it up and have their meals. Third thing is choose family favorites. Now, this one, you might get some pushback, but I really like it. I think especially when kids are younger, they love to be able to have some input. And especially if you have a picky eater, letting them have some kind of buy-in into what the meal planning or what the meals are for the week gets them more excited to want to eat and participate in the whole like dinner situation. So you can decide if you want to be able to like give each person a day of the week, or if you want to say, hey, we do like a little contest. If you are somebody who like, let's say you're like, oh, you completed all your chores for the week, or whoever doesn't talk back or whatever it is, gets to choose whatever we're going to have for dinner on Wednesday night. So you can figure out what method works best for you. But I think if you can start to get everybody to write a list of what their family favorites are and rotate those in, that allows for less conflict for the family at large. So that is something that we did, and I've seen a lot of great success. And you can even take it a step further if you want and have those kids that are interested in it take part in the cooking or in the prepping of the food. So that is another thing that you can do. And I'm all about teaching kids how to cook because that's a great life skill. The other thing I want to just say about that is we had a rule in our house about if you didn't want to eat what was for dinner, because I was not a short order cook. And we always had a few staples that were always available. We usually had like frozen waffles and pancakes. There was always cereal. When my kids were younger, we always had like dino nuggets and like yogurt and things like that that were always on hand. So if whatever I was making for dinner, and I try to make things that I knew that the girls liked, but if I were to make something and they just weren't in the mood for it or didn't like it, they always knew that they had another option. I was not going to short order cook multiple things. So I know a lot of my friends get really stressed out about mealtime because they're like, this one doesn't eat this and this one doesn't eat that. You can set some healthy boundaries and family rules around what options are available. And you could also choose to say, this is what I'm making and you're going to eat it or go hungry. Like that's, you're right too. I always wanted my kids to feel like they did have some sort of say to a degree, as long as they were eating. But I wasn't going to do it at the expense of making myself crazy and dirtying a bunch of dishes and all the things. Okay, so number 4 is something that not everybody can do, but if you can, I say prep your meals early in the day. Now, we had a great episode early on. I think it was like episode 89, guys. Okay, so we're in like the 400s. This was episode 89. And it was with my friend Christy Lingo, and it was all about when the Instapot, well, again, I call it the Instapot, but it's really Instant Pot, came out, and we were talking about like all different things. But one of the things that she was saying was about how she does use a lot of Instant Pot recipes. And whether you're using crock pot or Instant Pot, or if you are just like, hey, I'm working from home or I happen to be home, I'm going to prep some of the dinner early in the day and then maybe just be able to reheat it. Because I know for a lot of people that dinner time crunch or that after school through dinner bedtime is crazy. And so if you can remove the prepping and cooking part, or even just the prep part early in the day, the chopping, the cutting, all of that, if you can do that early on in the day, then that will save you time later when you really need it. And so if you can, maybe after the kids get on the school bus, or if you have a little one at home while they're taking a nap, or if you work from home and you're taking a break in the middle of the day, these are all great times. There's no reason that we have to cook dinner in real time. I mean, yes, maybe if you are making like a steak, you don't want it to have to reheat it. But if you can cook the sides, or you can cook whatever, marinate your meat or do whatever it is earlier in the day and just remove some of the legwork, that will free up your time later on in the day when you really need it most, because that's the time when kids need help with homework and you're running from activity to activity and you're just trying to get everything done. So just take all of that pressure off of your plate and do the prep earlier if you can. And the 5th thing that you can do to simplify your mealtime is enlist the family. Again, this is a big spectrum. It depends if you have a partner at home. It depends on the ages of your children. But if you can involve the kids to help with setting the table, cleaning the table, helping if it's not slowing you down, having them help you with the start of dinner. I mean, I remember when my kids were like in middle school and I would be coming home from a client and they would maybe be with the babysitter and I would call them and I would say, okay, I'm on my way home. Can you guys just start boiling the water for whatever? Even just getting that little bit of getting them involved really will help you. The 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 15 minutes here, it adds up. And these are the little things that if you don't have to own all of it, it does help. And then eventually you might find that one of your kids really loves the meal prep, or one of your kids actually likes the grocery shopping or the cleanup. I mean, there are different things that each of us gifts, organizing gifts that we like. I actually like doing dishes. I kind of find it therapeutic. So I don't mind doing that. But for some people, like that would be a huge thing to be able to take off of their plate. So when you think about from prep to clean up, there's a lot of that mealtime of how you can simplify it. So again, just to recap, these are 5 different ways that I think you can streamline your meal planning. 1, pick one day. For me, it's Sunday. For you, pick whatever day of the week. Look at what you have a week ahead. Figure out how many days you're going to be cooking, how many days you're going to be eating out, what you have on hand, and then you can shop, plan, and prep accordingly. Second, you want to keep a stocked freezer, whether that's your own freezer meals or you're getting freezer meals from like an outside third party and you're bringing them in and you're just having them on hand for nights that you're racing and you just want to like heat something up, but you still want to be nutritious and you don't want to go through the drive-through line. Third is choose family favorites. It's a lot easier to have the buy-in when everybody is on board and you've got people that are like, today's Johnny's favorite, tomorrow is Susie's favorite. Fourth is prep earlier in the day if you can. If you don't have to prep at that crazy witching hour, don't do it. Prep earlier, get it done, whatever you can, even if it's just part of it. And then the fifth is outsource the family, delegate, enlist them to help you with all the things so that you are not shouldering the entire load of responsibility. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We got so many more nuggets of wisdom coming to you this fall. I'm really excited. Again, if you don't listen to our show every single week, I just want to remind you that we do send a weekly recap. And so if you want to just get that and say, oh, this way I don't miss out because I know life is busy. Sometimes we're like out of our routine and we fall behind and you don't want to miss any episodes. Being on our email list is a great way for you to just keep a pulse check of what topics we're talking about. And this way you'll be like, oh, great. I really wanted to see this. So I'll drop the link below for you to sign up. Again, we don't spam you. We just want to give you quick, actionable things. And you're also then the first to know about anything else we have going on in the SBO, this organized life universe, specials, promos, things like that. And we've got a lot of things coming up for you guys. So definitely make sure that you are subscribed. And until next week, I'm Laurie Palau. I hope you have a great week. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simply the letter B like boy organized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.